shit. I forgot to... Hang on. I forgot to boot up Vtuber Studio. Oh my god, I'm a mess today. Da, 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 da. Oh. So how's everyone? It's kind of a chilled out day. I was a little late, like usual, because I needed to eat something. I can't stream for too late tonight because I gotta get up early tomorrow, but that's okay. Such is having a social life, you know. That looks fine. Okay. There we... Oh my gosh, why am I so big? Need to make myself smaller, I'm so sorry. But yeah, so we are doing some, I guess it's kind of a workshop, I'd say, for I guess writing. Oh boy. So yeah, originally I wanted to do a Creepypasta reading stream, but you know, that can be considered art theft, so I figured, why don't we try writing our own? Otsu, hello Tengu, how are you? I see you there. Yeah, so we're doing Creepypasta writing. So, if any of you have ever taken a creative writing class, you would possibly know how to start. But there's some specific rules for creating a horror story, or just something creepy. So to me, a creepypasta is kind of like, it presents itself as kind of an urban legend, in my opinion. So, in a way, you should, like, say, the point is to try to convince the reader that what you're writing about actually happened. So that's the way I see it. Some good examples are, when I think creepypasta, the thing that comes to my mind the most is the Ben Drowned thing, the Haunted Majora's Mask game cartridge. So that's just what I think of when I think creepypasta, because that was, and like Slender Man and all that. But what made them so compelling was the fact that there was some realism rooted within them. Like, for example, if you grew up playing video games, you might have played Majora's Mask, and Majora's Mask is already on its own a very creepy game. So what the author did was they took something kind of mundane that a lot of people are familiar with, and they made it scary. So, Creepypasta. Creepypasta is basically a short horror story. It usually becomes popular throughout the internet, usually on web forums. I've seen some of them posted on Something Awful. Oh god, that's old. I'm old. But it's a story that presents itself as, like, truth, even though it's not. It's kind of like an urban legend, but it originated online. So some famous examples are, like I said earlier, Slender Man is a very, very famous example of one. The Haunted Majora's Mask cartridge, Sonic.exe. Yeah, they're... And the thing with the internet is these trends just have a way of spreading in a very viral way. But what I think that makes the creepypastas especially, like, effective is just how grounded they can be, rooted within reality. So, like I said, a lot of... I'm just gonna go off on a tangent here about horror writers. So, from what I've seen about various horror writers, like Stephen King and Junji Ito, a few of the greats, is that they're actually very anxious people. And something they do very well is they look at something that's just like in our everyday life, but they see like the horror within it. Like, Junji Ito saw horror in the spiral patterns because it just kept going and going. It just sucks you in. And, or like the horror in your weird neighbors, or like going back to your hometown. And it just like, it just like resonates with a lot of people, especially resonates with me because I grew up in a more rural area and, you know, there isn't a whole lot going on, and you look around and you see, oh, like, sometimes I look out my window at night and the trees kind of look like monsters. I'm gonna write something about that. So you go online and you say, oh yeah, there's like shadow people outside my house, and like every night they're getting closer and closer. So you just present this story as something true. That's the main thing that you do. So I'm actually going to, give me 1 second. I'm going to open up a document here. Yes. All right. Would Google be the best document? I think that would be. Alright, just give me 1 second. Oh. So how are you doing on this lovely Thursday? Is it Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Yeah. Look at me struggling to remember what day it is. Oh boy. Oh, okay. Oh. I can also just bring up Notepad, that might work. Alright. So why don't we go over to the live screen? Oh yes, that is not me. Oh boy, hang on. What? There we go. All right. So, yeah, I'm gonna take some notes just so, like, you know, people come in, they can get caught up to speed. I am doing very well, thank you. Font. Let's make the font bigger. Why don't we? Make it size 24. That might be good, yeah. Okay. And that's a. Is that a good font? All right. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to figure out like what's a good font because Times New Roman is good. Actually, I like Arial font the best. That one's the easiest for me to read. Just a little bit of very minor dyslexia here, so there we go. I think that looks good. All right, let's go back. So, what is a creepypasta? A creepypasta is an internet story that presents itself as true. I say it was more of a horror story. Oh no, that's fine. All levels are welcome here. That's what I'm here for. Mainly, many have originated from internet forums. Often spreading in virally. Okay. So, yeah, so I would have to say I'm probably gonna date myself here, but a while back, like, you know what viral means? It means that something that just spreads through the internet really fast and gets really, like, popular very quick. So, before, like, social media was used widely, there were these things called chain letters. And chain letters were, it's like, oh, this, like, girl was, like, killed by her bullies, and if you don't want her to, like, visit you tonight at midnight and kill you, you send this to 5 other people. So, and a lot of the times that would be spread through, like, AIM or, like, the text messages even. I remember, like, opening up my phone one day, and somebody from my school actually texted me one, and the picture they used for it was so disturbing. I actually got mad at them. I was like, why did you send me this? This is annoying. But yeah, it like, yeah, the things where if you don't pass it on, it has that curse. Yes, that can be a creepypasta, because a lot of the times they're often very formulaic and they pass around fast. And they originated online. So it's like some examples are email chain letters. Hello, Gaius Papa. People are getting lectured here today. Hang on. There we go. So another example are urban legends. Hello, Faith. Hi. Hi, how are you? Are urban legends. So, urban legends are just like things that people talk about and like say, oh, did you hear Like, if you say Bloody Mary, like, into the mirror 3 times, she'll come and get you. Actually, bye-bye. That's good, that's good. So, a good example of an urban legend in the media is the movie Candyman. Because Candyman has that same thing where it's like, you don't know if it's real because it hasn't been extensively studied, but it's just something that people pass on as being true. All right. And if you want to go even further back, you could even say that folklore is a good example of creepypasta. Like, for example, yours truly, folklore, right here. It can be on Vtuber. The New Jersey Devil, that is folklore. It's something you tell people to scare them. It's a scary story. And campfire tales too, campfire stories. So, what separates creepypasta from all of this is how it's spread. And creepypastas, I guess they were popular like maybe 15 years ago. That's when I first started seeing them. So it's like, oh, you see somebody like posting an internet forum and they're like, hey, I found this really creepy glitch in like Mario, if you input a certain button combination, then Mario gets all bloody. It's just like, you know, something kids would say to freak each other out. So, yes, exactly. But in this case, what makes it spread is the internet. So, but its intent is to scare people. So let's talk about some examples of creepypastas and why they're good examples. Famous creepypastas are, I'm gonna say Slender Man. Slender Man, it falls under the cryptid subgenre. And how Slender Man originated was they were having a Photoshop contest on something awful. And this one person posted, let me see if I can find it. Hello, Zach, how are you? I'm teaching a class here. So, the Slender Man creepypasta, what happened was somebody entered into a Photoshop contest. And one of the entries was somebody photoshopped a tall, skinny man in a suit with no face into a picture of kids playing on a playground. And everybody was like, oh, that's creepy. Like, what is that? And the guy said, oh, this is like a monster that stalks you. Like, once you learn about it, it will follow you and haunt you. So that's a very famous example of that. Another one is the Haunted Majora's Mask cartridge. Again, there's a bit of relatability there because a lot of us have played video games. Majora's Mask cartridge or been drowned. Again, we've said, oh, like it's fun to like say, oh, my like GameCube is haunted. So you say, oh, there's like these weird, and this is like an actual thing that happens. Sometimes video game data gets corrupted, and when you boot it up, it has some really creepy glitches. And some people will purposely make it creepy, make glitches just for entertainment. That's how Vine Sauce got their start. But some of the corruptions are very creepy. What corruptions are in-game errors, usually caused by data getting mixed up and stuff like that. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the Ring VHS could be a creepypasta because it relies on people spreading it to survive. Yes, you've got it. You've got it, Tengu. You've got it. And also, this is one of my favorites, Candle Cove. They actually made a TV series based off of it because it was that famous. If any of you have heard of Local 58 or Gemini Home Entertainment, that the same guy who made those videos also made Candle Cove. And again, it uses this like relatability that people have, because the basis of Candle Cove is that people are on this internet forum and they're talking about a show that they all watched when they were kids and like how creepy it was. You've got it, you've got it. Oh, yeah, Jeff the Killer. No offense to whoever made it, but I don't think it's the way it was written, it presents itself when as kind of like the more chain letter subgenre where you need to spread his story in order to stay alive. But the quality of the writing just isn't there for me. And I guess like Tumblr saw, oh, creepypasta, let's make him into a Tumblr sexy man, which I think is very funny. So we got Candle Cove, which was so famous that it was made into a TV show on the Sci-Fi Network. So yeah, it was a show that was popular in the 70s, supposedly. And it was like one of those public access shows, but people are remembering how creepy it was. And so everybody's like talking about it in this internet forum. And they said, yeah, I remember it. And they would give more details of the show until one of the posters talked to their mother about it and asked their mother if they remembered it. And their mother said, oh yeah, I remember you saying you were going to go watch Candle Cove, but you just like sat in front of the TV and stared at static for a half hour and said you were watching Candle Cove. So yeah, it has that relatability where it's almost like you had that one show you watched as a kid that's kind of just like lost to you. And like, is there really any evidence that existed in the first place? So it has that lost media like relatability. Again, it's a good one. And the way it presents itself as like somebody took like an internet forum and just like copy pasted it. It's really good. I might be able to read it on stream because it's so famous. Maybe. So, yeah, that's one of my personal favorites. And another important aspect of creepypastas, I would say it's necessary because honestly, any story that you put on the internet can be a creepypasta. So yeah, there's really no restrictions, but they usually are told in the first person. It's presented as an anecdote, a lot of them. Like it has to be grounded in reality to be what I consider a creepypasta. But it's like evidence that there's something mysterious out there, that there's just like things that people have experienced. And there's actually a lot of crossover between SCPs and creepypastas. A lot of crossover between SCP and creepypasta. You can even say that the Backrooms is a creepypasta too. Yeah, Moth Mannequin be a creepypasta. But I would, yeah, because that would fall under the folklore or cryptid / urban legend. Because Mothman is not really that old of a legend. I don't know, like, I guess it was like spoken about because people like saw that, like, supposedly had sightings, but the most famous sighting is, I forget the bridge's name, but it was on, yep, Chupacabra again, folklore right there. So Mothman's like claim to fame is a lot of people saw him right before a bridge collapsed in, I think it's Point Pleasant, West Virginia. That's where he's from. So a lot of people don't know if he caused the bridge collapse or if he was trying to warn people. So that would probably fall under folklore or urban legends. Yes, yes. Yes, it is definitely very internet focused. Right. So, I guess the important things to note and what makes a creepypasta is, yeah, again, the way the Backrooms is presented, it started as a 4chan post of somebody like saying, what if there's like something, what if there's like a bunch of maze, like a maze-like labyrinth between us, and the only way you can access it is by no clipping out of reality. Like, I'm personally not freaked out by it because that that seems ridiculous to me. But I do appreciate the lore behind it. I guess it preys on that fear of being in a place where you can't escape from. Like, the fear of the Backrooms original post to me was just, you're just lost. And the only way out is to die of thirst. Or exhaustion, whichever gets you first. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's because it's a familiar environment to us, but it's made uncanny in the fact that it just goes on and on and on forever. And like, we've all been in these buildings with like maze-like hallways where you get kind of lost. For me, it's hospitals. Like, hospitals are, and like doctors' offices, they get very confusing for me. And I just don't like them to begin with. Yeah, it's like an uncanniness to it. There's an uncanniness to it. Yeah. And again, like I said, there's really no set rules. There's really no set rules on how to write one. So, why don't we get started? Also, this is kind of funny because I'm a Vinesauce viewer, like I said earlier, but there is actually this really popular internet urban legend about a haunted farming game. And a lot of people were like trying so hard to find it, like a creepy farming game. But it turned out it was just like Joel or Varg Skeltor just like making a joke on one of his streams about how, like, oh, what if there was this creepy farming game where you like had to like hide your wife's remains like in the fields, but you couldn't get caught. And I guess some people took it seriously. When really it was just somebody like joking about. So yeah, like Petscop, yes, that's an That's a creepypasta. Oh, I forgot another part. This isn't like necessary for a creepypasta, but a lot of creepypastas actually tie in with ARGs. Creepypasta tie in with ARGs. And what an ARG is an alternate reality game. So ARG is alternate reality game. So again, it's something that presents itself as being real, but it's just fiction. Kind of like an unfiction thing. So Petscop is a good example because the way it's shown is it's like a lost game that somebody just found and recovered, and they're playing through it and they're showing it off like a Let's Play style of it. But then you notice that something's not quite right with it. So this is just like a general horror writing tip. So when it comes to writing horror, the best way to get started is to think about what scares you. Personally, yes. Yes, so the game Petscop doesn't actually exist, but it's presented as like a lost game. It's okay. So keep in mind for horror writing, like what scares you personally? Like, what is something you're afraid of? For me, I'm a big old baby. Like, I'm gonna put that out there. I'm a big old baby. So, something that I am personally scared of, or something that just like creeps you out. Something very mundane that creeps you out. For me, it was staying late at work. And not because I'm a femme-presenting person, like working late, but there's just something weird about being in a place way outside of its like operating hours. It kind of has that, yeah, it kind of talks about that liminal space thing, like with the back rooms, where there's just something off about the space you're in. But it's just like when you're staying late, when I would stay late at work, it was like I could hear everything. I could hear like people walking across like the workplace. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that is scary because it's like of what you associate sirens with. Like, and it's a sound that makes people panic because, you know, when you hear a siren, that means that there's an emergency. Are you afraid of Silent Hill at all, by the way? Because that Silent Hill like feeds into that fear. So yeah, again, a lot of it's the uncanniness. It's just like the pure wrongness of being somewhere. Huh. Hmm. Okay. Open water with no land in sight? Because I guess like you don't know like what is down there. Like below you, thalassophobia, that is a very real fear. That's a good one. For me, fear is just like rooted in your brain, just like thinking that there's a threat somewhere. When you feel scared, your brain's just like looking to either run or fight. That's why horror is so much fun. Like horror books, stories, is because it allows you to explore those feelings and feel those feelings without the actual danger. Like, you can watch a movie about a haunted house, but when the movie ends, you're... Yeah, I'm gonna put on some background music. That might be... Yeah! Yeah! I'll put on some music. Let's see what I can put on here. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. There's an actual word for that, Zach. They're called intrusive thoughts. But the fact that you are disturbed by them means that you're not a bad person, and you know they're wrong. I'm not going to go into any more detail about that, because that could be triggering for people. Actually, Zach, like what you said, like we all have thought, I was thinking writing about things that everyone can relate to. Taking their way of comforts is a good way to start off. So, another thing that scares me is the thought of having my home invaded. Because it's like a place where you're supposed to feel safe, but then it's not safe because you have somebody who could potentially hurt you invading your safe space. And I think that's also why haunted house stories are so popular, because it's like you have this stranger in your house and you don't know what their intentions are, but you can't really feel safe. So, yeah, that's another thing. But fear is based in the feeling of being threatened. Even if you are completely safe, your brain still thinks there's a threat there. Now, personally, I find scary stories more disturbing than horror movies, because when you're reading books on when you're reading words on a page, almost like a possession. Yeah, that's another common horror trope, is possession. Speaking of, The Exorcist turns 50 this year. Go watch it. It's a classic. It's very good. So, yes, possession is another common horror story plot line. Yeah. So, there's also body horror, which is something John Carpenter really liked, and David Cronenberg. Body horror is another aspect of losing control and like just having something change. It's the fear of losing your personhood. A great example of literature of that is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. That's a body horror classic. But I personally think it's scary. So, let's talk about common fears. That's the thing. What prevents most people from doing stuff like that is they know it's wrong. Their logical thinking wins over in the end. Also, most people have some form of empathy, and the fact of hurting people makes us not want to cause harm. Because a lot of violent actions are actually impulse-driven. Like, when you do an act of violence, you're not really thinking. And that's why first-degree murder is a more severe punishment than second-degree. Because second-degree, it's just done in the spur of the moment. Like, it's impulse-driven. But first-degree is when you calculate a plan, when you make a plan on how to execute it. Like, that's the big difference. Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that people's logical thinking prevents them from going too far. If not, then their sense of empathy does. Like, I'm such a baby. Like, I wouldn't say baby, but in a way, I'm just like super sensitive to this. Like, I will avoid choosing mean interactions in video games because I don't like seeing people sad. And even if it's just a video game, I like take that so personally. Like, imagine how I feel when it comes to real people. Like, but hello, Heavenly Gale. There you are. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you here. So, we have some good ideas. We have a feeling of wrongness. Yeah, we're just brainstorming ideas. Of wrongness. Fear. Loss of control. The fear of unknown, I guess that's the deep water fear. And like loss of safety. Hello, John. How are you? So, you know what I think? I think we have a few solid ideas here. I'll just kick back and relax, and we'll have a nice engaging stream, won't we? So. Ow. So, I'm just thinking. Alright. So looking at that, I think what would be good is to start off with a possession story. Oh, okay. Well, make sure you post what you draw. I want to see it. So I'm thinking a possession story of some sort. So, well, we think of an outline here. So we have that fear of the unknown. So, when I just like look out my window, and sometimes, you know what I see? I see dark woods. And I never, ever, ever go into the woods at night because I'm afraid of getting lost. Oh, like Malignant? Yeah. I'm thinking. Okay. So. What we have, I'm just looking outside. So yeah, I'm afraid of the dark woods because I'm afraid of getting lost. Again, that ties into the wrongness of having this place where I just don't know where I'm going. And either something gets me or I just remain lost forever. Now, keep in mind there are resources out in the woods, but yeah. I'm turning. The wheels in my head are turning. So, what if I were to go out in the woods and, you know, I'm wandering out there and I don't have any water on me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. So thirsty. Like, how am I gonna survive this? Like, it's awful. And I'm just walking around, nothing to drink, nothing to eat. But then I come across a stream, okay? But gosh, I know I shouldn't. Oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. No, I cut my hands and drink from that stream. And oh, the water's so good. It's very good. So, then I go back home. I eventually find my way home because I see the lights from the house after wandering for a few hours. You'll see what I'm getting at. So, then I make it home eventually, and I settle in for the night. In the morning I get up. I feel like this strange pressure in my head. And it's not painful, it's just unpleasant. It kind of feels like there's something crushing. But it's not bad, So I go to work, and I see a customer approach me. And I'm your own business, and they, oh, that's okay. Just do whatever you want. You can do a stream, you can post it. Okay, yeah, I can lower the background music. So I'm at work, and a customer approaches me and says, oh, the price on this merchandise is wrong. And so I confirm it, and the customer said, but that's wrong, you should give it to me, you should give it that original price to me, because you made a mistake by labeling it the wrong price. And normally I would say yes, 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 that's fine. Just go up to customer service and I'll make it right. But something in me just doesn't sound right. No, I take the merchant, I take the box, I throw it on the ground, and I said, well, what do you want me to do about it? Like, I can't honor this price. There's too much. And there's just like something within me that just can't hold back those feelings of anger. So, because I went off on a customer like that, my boss pulls me in to her office and says, what happened? That isn't like you. And I say, oh, my head's just been bothering me. I don't quite know what's going on. So she says, well, okay, maybe you should just go home. So I go home and turn in for the night. Next morning, my sinuses are clogged up. And I think, okay, clogged up sinuses, headache, where I've been through this before, so I take a COVID test. And as I'm taking the COVID test, and this has never happened before, my nose starts bleeding. And it gets everywhere. And it just won't stop. I do the basic first aid where you lean forward with your nose plugged for 15 minutes, but it just won't stop. It never stops. I'm starting to feel sick and lightheaded from the sight of all the blood, and all the blood, it just gets everywhere. So I go to urgent care, and they cauterize the burst capillary in my nose. And by the way, the COVID test was negative, so let's be thankful for that. Day 3. There's something under my skin. It itches so bad. I have made many, many marks just trying to get it out, but it just doesn't stop. My mom came in and asked if I wanted pancakes. A simple question. Shouldn't have gotten that reaction out of me. But I pushed her down the stairs. I don't like having my peace disturbed. That's what she gets for disturbing my peace. Day 4. Itchy, so itchy. Itchy, itchier. Can't think. Itchy. Day 5. If you're reading this, let it be known. Don't drink the water. And don't drink the water. There's something in there. And that's how you write a creepypasta. There you go. So, I saw something about you being possessed by something like parasitic. So I was thinking, okay, I'm lost in the woods, you're going to get thirsty. So I've heard stories, and this is true, this is 100% true, about brain-eating amoebas. They're kind of rare, but they're out there. And normally you die pretty fast from one, but what happens if you just don't notice it? Like brain eating to me, it's like, oh, my cognitive functions are decreasing. And, you know, just like that feeling of wrongness, and yeah, the brain-eating amoeba is definitely a thing. And it does live in water. Don't ask me what I research in my free time. Weirdly enough, one of the incidents where they found a brain-eating amoeba is in the water at a Disney water park that is currently not open anymore. And that in itself is horrifying because you would expect to be safe at Disney. But it's like, oh, don't drink the water. And there actually is a fungus that does control bugs. It's what the Last of Us fungus is based off of. And the reason why it exists in insects is because the human's body temperature is too low to sustain it. But if we were to get a little bit warmer, you know, global warming and all that happening, you never know. Yep. Insects that take over corpses. Also, like, I'm not sure how true this is. I'll have to ask somebody. But apparently, like, as a corpse that is, like, you know, going through the process of decay, if they're not embalmed or anything like that, sometimes they can move, like, after they've died. Parasites. And you know, you might have a parasite in you right now. You never know. There's parasites that live on our eyelashes. There are just so many of them out there. Most of them are benign. They can't hurt you, but you never know. We can't see them. We don't know they're there until we start showing symptoms. I mean, you can treat a tapeworm relatively easily. Yeah, we can treat tapeworms relatively easily. You just take them out, but no. Never know. Oh. Well, if you're a cisgender man, consider yourself lucky. This might be horrible to say, but in a way, pregnancy is like having a parasite. That's why Rosemary's Baby is scary, is because you have this baby that you don't really want living inside you. And you know, women used to die a lot during childbirth because it just takes so much out of them just to be pregnant. But thank goodness for modern medicine, you know? Something that shouldn't be there, yeah. There was... The human body's so strange, too. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean by thank goodness for modern medicine, because now we can give birth safely in a safer environment. They have things like C-sections and the NICU. But another thing I was thinking about. Have y'all heard of teratomas? Like teratomas, they're like these little tumors that people can get sometimes. And something happens with the genetic coding in the cells to the point where these tumors can like grow hair and teeth within them. Isn't that so gross? So in a way, oh, gross. Where's scroll in and scroll out. Yeah, don't look up pictures of teratomas. They're very gross. But yeah, it is gross. But the human body can do that. Ugh. It's like some actual Resident Evil shit. And it happens naturally. And people don't know why it happens, but it just does. No, it's okay. It takes a lot to, like, genuinely disturb me. Like, I'm somebody who can, like, I used to play surgery games. Like, that's how unfazed I am. Like, gore in movies and stuff like that don't bother me. I guess real life gore does. But it's mainly because I know somebody is suffering because of it. Because of what I'm seeing. It's really more of the psychological part. Kind of like how... Like, I can watch slasher films fine. Because a lot of the time, slasher films, the deaths are usually really relatively quick. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, tumors are usually caused by some kind of genetic mutation. Just like cells growing out of control. But, like, for me, like, slasher films, the deaths are relatively quick. But probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen I've ever seen, like, in a movie was Martyrs, with that, like, extensive torture scene where she's just getting the shit beaten out of her for, like, ever, and it goes on for a very long time. And it's less of the gore part than of, like, the psychological suffering that is disturbing to me. Like, if somebody's in pain and somebody's suffering, that disturbs me more than any sort of just, like, blood and guts. Yeah. Except there was this really gross part in Hostel once where... I forget the context of it. Because it's been a while since I've seen that movie, where this man, he, like, rescues one of the women who's being tortured. Because Hostel, it's like they kidnap you and they essentially torture you to death. Like, wealthy people pay to torture you to death. And there was, like, this one guy who was very racist. And so he used a flamethrower on this one woman's face. She was Japanese. Like, that was part of why he chose her, is because he was very racist and he wanted to hurt her. But there's, like, one part where her eyes just, like, dangling out and she's, like, screaming in terror, and the MC has to, like, cut off her eyeball to, like, proceed, and they, like, show it. And apparently that one shot, like, almost got Hostel, like, an N-17 rating because of that. Like, ugh. Ugh, gross. And, like, anything to do with the eyes, or, like, teeth, or, like, the fake fingernails. Like in horror, it's just so gross and fucked up to me. Like in Black Swan, when Nina, Natalie Portman's character, is like picking at her skin, the skin around her fingernails, and she just like rips off an entire strip of skin. Like in the, just like, she's like picking out a hangnail and she just like tears it off, and it just like takes off like the whole strip of skin on her finger, like, yeah. Just gross. But at the end of the day, I'm like fine because I know it's fake. Yeah, sometimes movies can get very graphic. And like that one scene in Midsommar where the guy just like crushes the old man's skull in with a rock, and I'm just like, oh, okay. It was gross, but I think the scene that was more disturbing was at the beginning when the MC is like screaming just like for a prolonged period of time, and just like the sound of it is just like so grating. Hello, dead man, how are you? This has turned into a very cursed stream, huh? So, while we're on that topic, why don't I let you all know what's happening for the next month? So, I do have a few games picked out, and they're mainly like very narrative heavy driven story driven games. And there's one game that I want to stream called Immortality. Absolute masterpiece. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, we're moving on in a minute. We're moving on, don't worry. So, Immortality by Sam Barlow. Brilliant game. But not safe for YouTube or Twitch. So I signed up for Fansly to stream it. But it's basically, it's an FMV game, and it's just like the way it tells a story is just so fascinating. Alright, I've also got Signalis. That was one I meant to check out, but I forgot. But yeah, we're streaming that one. We're doing Decarnation. I think it's called Burnhouse Lane, which is made by the same developer that did the Cat Lady, the Catwoman. Yeah, that game. Yeah, so lots of fun stuff. So, we still have a while. So, I have like a list of SCPs that I wanted to check out. Excuse me. SCP. It's on my phone, I'm just looking at my phone. We're moving on. Hehe. Yeah, we can. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That was really for that was really just like to show you how to write a creepypasta. So that will be your homework, actually, is to write a creepypasta. And then I'm trying to think if there's a place that I can have y'all post it. Well, you know what, just tell me about it. Or what you can do is I can make a community post, and if are you all allowed to share links? I think you might be able to share links in. Oh, okay, Tengu. Hope you got a delicious breakfast. Yeah, so you all can write one and then share it with me. And I can read it on stream if you all want me to. And maybe I'll write one too, a more organized one that rather than just like reciting one off the top of my head. So yeah. We still have some time. I like this music, it's very atmospheric. Oh. Scary, scary. Okay. Okay, so why don't I do something real quick? Why don't we read some SCPs? Because that's a good example of. Oh shit. It's a good example of the creepypasta usually. Right? Give me 1 minute. Oh. Ooh. Just looking for a good one. Show me how to love me and Oh. Oh, oh. Ooh. Interesting, interesting. Interesting. Oh. Whoa. Interesting. Okay. You got some good ones. Let me go back to my just chatting scene. Oh, there we go. All right. So I found a good one. This one is called SCP-823. Oh. SCP-823 is to be secured by no fewer than 6 on-site personnel until such time as decontamination protocols can be established. And the artifact... Welcome back, Tengu! And the artifact in question neutralized. Personnel must respect a 20-meter safe zone around the currently established red zone at all costs. Any individual, citizen, civilian or not, who enters the established red zone is to be terminated immediately by sniper fire. Should music or piping be heard emanating from within the red zone, Foundation personnel on site are to immediately don protective earplugs and withdraw from their positions to a 2-kilometer perimeter beyond the currently established yellow zone, and inform Foundation scientific personnel immediately. Following the realignment event, Foundation science personnel will survey the area and determine the boundaries of the new red and yellow zones. using procedure 823.1 alpha. Due to the necessity of maintaining auditory alertness, no personal music devices or radios aside from necessary equipment are to be allowed at the observation site. Alright, description of the SCP. SCP-823 is an abandoned theme park located in redacted. Site was abandoned in redacted after several violent events resulting in the deaths of park attendees. A complete list of said events is included in Supplement 8230113, Civilians' Death attributed to the SCP. SCP-823 was finally abandoned after the events of redacted date, also known as Bloody Sunday, when the influence of the artifact in question reached a 20-year peak. 231 attendees were killed and another 7 injured or maimed. A complete list of casualties is included in the supplement. Civilian deaths resulting in the event, but include 2 individuals, male and female, fused together at multiple points after emerging from the Tunnel of Love dark ride. Both of them died. 1 individual wearing a Happy Hippo mascot uniform found dead of suffocation. Mouth, trachea, and lungs were discovered to be filled with a fibrous substance later determined to be identical to the stuffing in said mascot uniform. 15 individuals recovered from the Thriller Chiller roller coaster, all decapitated by blunt force. Witnesses reported that the deaths did not occur simultaneously but in groups of 2, starting with the front row of seats and ending with the back. Forensic analysis indicates that each set of deaths corresponded to a loop or turn in the roller coaster's tract. 1 individual recovered from under the Thriller Chiller roller coaster, dead of broken neck and massive cranial trauma caused by a 50-foot fall from an inverted position. Individual was seated at the back of said roller coaster and somehow managed to extricate self from the ride safety harness halfway through the ride. 1 individual found dismembered inside the House of Mirrors attraction. Left arm was found 16 feet to the north from the torso. Left leg was found inverted and attached to the ceiling by sinews. Right leg was found in the possession of Subject 79, partially consumed. Forensic analysis indicates that teeth marks found on the flesh and bone of said leg are human and origin. To date, no trace of right arm has been found. For complete records, see the supplement. Following said event, Foundation Mobile Task Force Row 71, or Origami Toads, was sent into the site to assess the situation and carry out containment procedures. MTF Row 71 was not successful in determining the cause or location of the deaths due to casualties inflicted on team members. Partial list of casualties included MTF Row 71 Commander, cause of death suicide caused by forced sexual injury through left eye, resulting in unsurvivable brain trauma. Ugh. Agent, cause of death suicide. Individual was found with all ammunition disassembled, casings and bullets discarded. Grams of propellant consistent with the amount of disassembled ammunition found on scene, and was retrieved from individual's stomach and intestines. What the fuck? Alright, another agent death, cause of death suicide. Individual was discovered with lacerated lungs and broken jaw. Missing teeth were retrieved from individual's lungs and trachea. Oh god. Following the deaths of 50% of the Mobile Task Force personnel on site, supervisor ordered an immediate mission abort. Containment protocol was switched from retrieval on site securement. Standard media blackout procedures were carried out. Alright. So, I will say why that's an example of a creepypasta. So what we just read was a report of an amusement park where many, many people have died. So, again, grounded in reality, because there have been a lot of there have been amusement parks that rides that have killed people in some very horrific accidents. So, somebody probably saw that and said, oh, what if it was a mysterious force behind that causing it? And there you have it, SCP-823, the carnivore of horrors. Let's move on to the next one. We have another one. We got SCP-1545. Oh, that's a great picture. Alright. It's a safe one, so it's not gonna hurt you. SCP-1545 is to be kept in Containment Locker 1545 at Site 40, with access barred to all personnel with a clearance level under 3. Following Incident 1296 to 1545, testing of SCP-1545 with additional anomalous objects requires approval of personnel with a clearance level of 4 on a case-by-case basis. No other containment procedures are necessary at this time. SCP-1545 is a two-person llama costume wearing galoshes. SCP-1545 can be opened along its midsection. Its interior is consistent with an average costume of its type, with space for 2 people, one with their legs in the rear legs, bending over into the midsection, and the other standing in the front with their 2 legs in the costume's front legs, standing straight up through the costume's neck. A tag near the costume's rear refers to it as Larry the Loving Llama. SCP-1545's anomalous effects do not become apparent until it is worn. Subjects wearing the SCP will become extremely in character, with the frontal person speaking as if they were Larry the Loving Llama, and the rearward person performing various jigs. The SCP behaves in an extremely docile manner. Subjects inside the SCP are not physically able to exit the SCP without being pulled out and show no desire to do so, although they will not resist removal. Unless forcibly removed from the SCP, subjects will continuously act as Larry the Loving Llama until they expire. Subjects with a dead partner will still act as their appropriate half until they also expire. Removed subjects show memory of their time within SCP for 1545, however, they show no knowledge of its anomalous properties. Subjects do not show any negative attitude toward their time inside the SCP, instead behaving as if their actions were typical. SCP-1545 was discovered by authorities in an abandoned suburban home. Victims had died from dehydration. Autopsy indicated that the rearward operator had died 1 day earlier and had severe bruising on her body from being dragged throughout the household by the frontal partner. SCP was discarded by the Foundation personnel after its anomalous properties had been discovered. Class A and anesthetics were administered. Alright, here's a transcription of the audio log. Alright, Interview D-5362, having just been removed from SCP-1545. Interviewer, Dr. Fredericks. Subject has been inside SCP-1545 for approximately 3 hours. Hello, D-5362. Well, good afternoon, sir. How are you feeling? A little exhausted, sir. Oh yes, I saw all that dancing around. Must have gotten tiring. It was, sir. But you have to keep the people entertained. But surely you considered leaving to get a drink. I can't do that, sir. It would ruin the illusion. It's a talking llama wearing rain boots. What kind of illusion is that? Well, you just don't know Larry the Loving Llama like I do, sir. Alright, more audio log. Here's an interview with Larry the Loving Llama. The voice is extremely raspy due to dehydration. Hello, D-5483. Oh, I'm Hutchins. I'm Larry the Loving Llama. Okay, Larry, how are you feeling? Super duper, Doctor. My bum's a bit sluggish today, but that's okay. The rearward operator had expired 2 hours earlier. Larry, are you aware of the men inside you? You mean my helpers? Yes, your helpers. My helpers love helping me. Together we bring joy to everyone. Are you aware that D-5484 is dead, Larry? He's just taking a nap, Doctor. Okay, there you have a haunted mascot costume. Alright. Alright, this is SCP-902, the final countdown. Alright. SCP-902 has been relegated to Arctic Base Theta 12, the only SCP to be contained at this site. The site is to be staffed by a team of 50 security personnel. At this time, no research is to be done on SCP-902. Knowledge of SCP-902. Yeah, exactly! Take something that everybody's familiar with and make it creepy. Now, knowledge of SCP-92 beyond its number is to be limited to level 3 staff and lower. It is imperative that only a limited number of senior staff know of the existence of SCP-902. Only 105 is allowed to know about SCP-902 at any time. In the event of a security breach from inside Arctic Base Theta 12, the on-site hydrogen bomb is to be detonated remotely. SCP-902 must be guarded at all times against premature destruction. SCP-902 is a box roughly the size of an adult human head. It measures 30 centimeters by 15 centimeters by 19. It appears to be an ammunition box of a type used roughly 30 years ago, despite this item having been in Foundation custody for roughly 60 years. SCP-902 is made of lead. The composition of the item inside SCP-902 is unknown. The SCP emits what has been described as a ticking sound, and anyone who hears this sound becomes convinced that the item is counting down. When opened, the box appears empty. However, the ticking remains. The object continues counting down. Anyone who becomes aware of the SCP, whether through personal interaction or by reading this report, it's okay, you can just listen. Or by reading this report, becomes convinced that whatever is in the box is horribly dangerous and needs to be destroyed as soon as it finishes counting down, and not before. Staff exposed to the SCP will typically continue to attempt to open and then close the box, trying to find the object inside. There is no object. There is an object. It has to be destroyed when the countdown stops. We are doing great work. We have to be stopped. Huh. Do y'all hear any ticking? So they made Schrodinger's box into a creepy one. We're reading SCP's Sigh. I wrote a creepypasta earlier, and that is your homework assignment, is to write a creepypasta. I'm reading SCPs because a lot of them are good examples of creepypastas. Alright, Folly of the Fruit Eater. So it looks like a good one. Oh god, that's creepy. Alright, the grove containing SCP-2988 has been quarantined by the Foundation personnel. Personnel will monitor SCP-2988 actions before, during, and after a test subject is introduced to it. Researchers should be wary of the 4-meter radius at which SCP-2988 responds to human interaction, as well as the 30-meter radius that limbs from SCP-2988 can travel. Well, just write a scary story. You can tune into the VOD and watch how I explained it. But then again, there's really no, like, rules. Researchers at the site and personnel stationed at the SCP have been instructed to report new findings, discoveries about SCP-2988's origins, as well as information on... yeah. Alright, SCP-2988 is a tree located in a grove within North America and redacted. It bears resemblance to the quaking aspen, albeit possessing black leaves, black and gray mottled bark, and a fruit not found on standard Populus tremolides. This fruit is now labeled SCP-2988-1. The SCP is 26 meters in height with a crown length and width of 8 meters each. SCP-2988 have black skin, soft red-orange flesh, and are ovular in appearance. The juice of SCP-2988 possesses narcotic and anesthetic properties, inducing hallucinations, giddiness, and vomiting in subjects, followed by numbness and loss of motor skills. Several branches of the SCP are fixed at the end with animal and human forelimbs, all of which appear to have been ripped off with extreme force. Said limbs do not show signs of decay despite constant exposure to the elements. These forelimbs possess full dexterity and assist SCP-2988 in grasping, hitting, and restraining those that come near the SCP. When a human comes within 4 meters of the SCP will bend noticeably toward them at the trunk. Appendages on the SCP near the subject then pick and offer the fruit to them, gesturing in a manner indicative of the SCP wanting the subject to eat the fruit. If the fruit is consumed, the SCP will wait until the subject is incapacitated by the fruit's effects before taking further action. If the fruit is refused, or if the subject tries to leave the vicinity of the SCP, SCP-2988 will attempt to force feed the fruit to them, often restraining the subject via forelimbs. If a subject attempts to flee, the SCP has been observed smearing juice on the attached limbs from this fruit on the attached limbs and removing them. Limbs retain full autonomy while separated from the SCP, using the digits for transportation and pursuit of the subject. They can travel approximately 30 meters from the SCP while in pursuit before showing signs of losing mobility. The limbs have been observed dragging fatigue limbs back to the SCP. If a subject is captured, the SCP will grab them by their wrists and ankles and elevate them to the upmost branches. If there are multiple subjects, they are spread evenly throughout the branches. During this time, juice from the fruit is constantly dripped into the subject's mouth. Any person held captive is usually unable to resist at this point, due to both their restraint and their drugged state. Approximately 3 minutes later, 4 limbs on the SCP will cease drip feeding the subject. SCP-2988 as a whole will begin to shake increasingly, with its leaves beginning to produce the distinct rustling noises heard from normal quaking aspen trees. Limbs near the subject will then grab the length of one of their arms and pull back violently until the arm is removed. Limbs removed from a subject are passed around through the branches of SCP-2988 until a relatively empty area of space is found. A branch will insert itself in the exposed muscle of the limb, possibly anchoring and binding itself to the bones. After approximately 40 seconds, the newly attached appendage shows signs of regained dexterity. SCP-2988 will then violently throw all subjects to the ground at its roots. Subjects are usually killed from the impact. Over the next 72 hours, the bodies rapidly, not presumably acting as fertilizer for SCP-2988. SCP-2988 shows several dozen SCP fruits as the bodies have decomposed. During this time, the SCP has been observed to lob several fruit away from itself. It is hypothesized that this may be an attempt by the SCP to reproduce. Ew. So the fruit is made of body rot. Gross. Despite being a fruit-bearing tree, attempts to cultivate the SCP have so far been proven unsuccessful, so scientists start to continue studying SCP samples to learn more about its properties. Recursive testing reveals that the seeds of SCP-2988 may in fact be infertile. On date redacted, SCP-2988 began displaying previously unseen activity. The SCP removed 8 limbs of varying species without an intended target. The appendages proceeded to travel in pairs to the 30-meter borderline and proceeded to dig into the ground until a hole large enough to fit a single limb was made. I don't know. It's just, maybe they just think of it. One appendage then buried itself into the hole so that the hand and wrists were still above ground. The other limb then appeared to expire, ceasing all movement and rapidly decaying. Though aware of what SCP-2988 SCP-2988 was possibly trying to attempt, personnel were instructed to wait 96 hours before taking further action. All buried limbs were removed from the ground after 96 hours had passed. Several moderate to moderate injuries were inflicted on personnel. Most limbs resisted removal, attempting to grab, crush, and swat at personnel attempting to remove them. Limbs were contained in individual study containers and continued to attempt escape. 12 hours after removal, all limbs expired and were deemed safe to study. Examination revealed early stages of plant roots growing from the base of each appendage. Each limb has been kept in their container for future research. Personnel are ordered to remove any planted limbs from SCP-2988 within 24 hours of burying. Oh geez. Several documents found within SCP-2746 have described a tree that bears several similarities to the SCP, as well as information on its assumed creator Isaac. For sake of easier reading, the documents have been divided into subsections to signify the beginning and ends of notable events. Collaborative research is ongoing on both the site and SCP's containment site. For a list of possible information related to the SCP, please see file. Full documentation. Access to this file can be obtained with a level 2 clearance and above. Alright, I'm going to be reading some tales. Documents were found within a shrine in SCP-2746 bundled together with twine. It appears they were hidden behind several bricks in a row in a now crumbling portion of the wall. Traces of DNA similar to the spotted hyena were found on the paper. It appears the text was scratched on a claw, with a claw/nail in black ink. The snow continues to fall, and the blood of my former and lasting friends falls along with it. It has now been redacted days since the Maker's decree, several days since the fighting began, and several days since I watched a deer torn apart by the starving. Since Han was eaten by my Matic, who I thought as my brother, and blank days since Hadash, in all her foolishness, sided with the Furies and was hammered to a cross. I saw her hanging, screaming as the snow burned her, as she hung with her head pointing toward the ground. Our skin froze and fell off like paper, and I couldn't help her. I shouldn't have helped her. She was a heretic, and she deserved what was coming to her. Anyone who still has the sanity to see that Sweetheart and Sorry are in the right realizes this. So why? Why does everyone insist on joining the blasphemers, the heathens, the mad, who think that the Maker can be overthrown? For the past 2 weeks, I have resorted to hiding in a shack hidden by the ice, hoping that some stray, hungry animal doesn't smell me out or dig me up. I am so hungry, but while the Maker says eating will save my mind, I truly doubt that what he says is true. Tearing apart my fellow colleagues won't preserve me in the slightest. Sweetword, Sorry, find me, please. Save me from the insane that run outside. Hungry. I'm so hungry. Hunger got the best of me, and I tried to go outside today. I couldn't find any plants worth eating, and I didn't have the strength to try and craft something up. The snow began to tinkle as soon as I stepped out. It was a mistake to try and leave. Weaver was outside. I think it was Weaver. His back was turned, but I know that black coat and the way his tail twitched. He's eating someone. I couldn't tell who, but I whimpered, and Weaver heard it. I ran so hard and couldn't see where I was going. With the snow in my face, the fear in my chest, and the sound of Weaver's panting behind me. I couldn't run fast enough. Weaver managed to catch up to me. I felt his teeth clamp down on my foreleg, and I let out a scream as I felt it being torn halfway off. He crushed it. I felt the bones shatter like glass. It hurt so bad. It hurt. And Thressia came in. I saw her tusks run Weaver through his gut, heard him yelp, and I ran again, as fast as I could. The snow's covered everything. The only good thing about it is that it's numbed my leg. Found a goat. May have been Gwarth. Could have been Prayshard. Doesn't matter. They were frozen, eaten too. Necks and ribs were in splinters. It's not a crime if I took a nibble, right? There wasn't much left, and I buried them after. I was starving, I had to. Kept walking, found a shrine, cold inside, but colder outside. I went in. Continuing off, passed out, didn't know how long. There were sticks and leaves in the fire pit. Incense, too. They tasted like shit. Hungry. Maker, forgive me, please. I didn't bury them all. I used some of their bones for a brace. Took some more to chew on. Maker, forgive me, please. The text is ineligible and smeared. Damn toe. The next 2 pages are filled with the words forgive me, along with what are assumed to be several names of those the writer knew. Writing again. When did the bones lose their flavor? Did I get everything out of them already? Licked it. Hungry. Useless now. No, not doing it. No, 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 no. Bottom half of the document appears to have been chewed on, though it doesn't appear any text was written on this portion. How long was that instrument in the corner? I was looking up snow and found it buried. At a happier time, I would have crafted something immediately. Doesn't do me any good now. I don't have a base to work with. Could I craft something? Fire pit has parts. But I need something more. Regardless, whatever I make, I need food. Finished. Below this word, there are several hand-drawn symbols that appear to have serve some ritualistic purpose. The meaning of these symbols are being researched. Almost out of paper, last 4 sheets. Already. Bit the rest while crafting and stop the bleeding. It was worth it. It was worth it. It wouldn't have been able to support me anyways the way it was going. And I used the sticks and incense in the craft as well. Made a little sprout. And it makes fruit. I ate them all and nearly threw up. I've never tasted anything better in my life. I just wish my leg wasn't stuck on top like that. It looks so out of place. Doesn't help that I know where the missing toe went. Here's some more. Alright. It appears the writer used the blank side of various notices to continue their journals. Said notices describe punishments of some sort that shall be inflicted on a religious group. Feeling so much better now that I can eat again finally, despite having only text has been crossed out and is illegible. I was able to walk outside today. I want to keep writing. I want someone to know that what Scholar Isaac has done, presumed to be the name of the writer themselves. The tree is amazing. The fruit is delicious, and it makes you feel so much happier. I'm going out now, see if there are others who are hungry like I was. I'm going to make a Sweetword and Sorry proud. Didn't see anyone today. I picked the fruit off regardless. It grows fast. I guess I just have a bit more for myself today. The bottom remaining portion of the page is covered in dried orange liquid, presumed to be juice from the SCP. Delicious. I haven't been writing lately because of my researches. I came across 5 honorables in the past week. They were all hungry when I found them, very weak. I took them back to the shrine. Some of them took a bit more coaxing, but they are recovering now, and I think they trust me. Feels good to be a healer again. Next 4 pages are a log of times Zach fed the honorables he found, along with notes on improvement in their health and recovery. Everyone's looking so much better now. They're full again, able to walk right. Sweetword and Sorry would be proud. I can't believe it. I had been feeding heathens, the ones that were responsible for all this fighting in the beginning. I talked to them about the fighting today, and they said they were supporting the traitors to the Maker. I was so angry, felt so betrayed by their words. I should have just let them tear each other apart in the snow, but I let my compassion for helping others blind me. I don't have to look after them anymore, though. I remained calm and went along with their talk. Afterwards, I gave them more food than normal. They were grateful and completely oblivious. Once they were sleeping from the fruit, it was just like Weaver. I was very precise, 1 bite per limb, clean. Started with Nashasha, then Yosef, then Karina. Sable was last. They'll never aid the others again. I'm delivering justice, aren't I? Heathens shouldn't be allowed to go free. I took the removed parts to the tree. Same spell, used once for each pair. The tree grew bigger, broke through the fire pit ring. Fruit is bigger too. I'm going to eat well tonight. Next 2 pages are splattered with the juice. The tree got the leftovers. This was new. I didn't expect the tree to be able to move, but it scooped the meat and spread it around its roots. Right, part C. I'm not saving anyone anymore. hunt down the heathens. Their bones will be added to the tree. Everyone will know what happened to the blasphemers once the fighting ends. Only going to feed myself. I won't eat the heathens, but I'll have whatever fruit comes off from them once the tree consumes them. It smells in the shrine. It smells like rotting. I've spent more time outside than in. New fruit supply was great. 5 days since the last journal, right? Found 2 heathens. Played the weak role and they ran at me. I've gotten used to moving on 3 legs. Made it back to the shrine. The tree was waiting for them. This was new. The tree attacked. It whipped its branches and held them down. My face was hit several times before I ran outside. It's been half an hour, still outside. Shut the door to muffle the sound. 4 more legs on the tree. It added them itself. I don't know if I have to use the spell now. Rest of the body is all over the floor. All over. Maker, please forgive me for the smell inside. I don't want to dirty your shrine like this, but this is judgment, right? Realize something. The fruit tastes different after each edition. Up to 31 limbs now, and I just noticed it. Also, the tree never attacked me directly, even when I watched. That's good. 3 honor roll heathens today. 35. I pruned the wings off the tree. For some reason, the fruit tastes awfully strange with birds. Down to 27. The tree's growing out of the windows now. Maker, forgive me for using your shrine this way. I dragged 2 honorables by the neck. They screamed all the way. Judgment silenced them. 45. Took care of fellow scholar Winnie. Almost couldn't get her and had to retreat. Right shoulder got torn up, but it will heal with time. As I ran back to the shrine, the tree threw a dozen or so legs at her and dragged her back. Yet another secret it's revealed. I'm surprised at how far the tree has come. Its judgment is sound. 51. I'm wanted. I can't believe it. Gareth was holding a paper with my name. I dragged the damn monkey back after he was drugged and bit his face. Let the tree do the rest. The paper says I've been kidnapping fellow citizens and eating them inside the shrine. I don't know who saw me. I should have been more careful. I should have looked around. Gareth can't be the only one looking for me. I have to go. I have to save these notes. I can come back for them later. Sweetheart and sorry will see reason in what I did. They'll let me go. I can show them everything I've done, everyone I've dealt with. Last thing before I stash these. 63. I have to keep a tally. Alright. The following document was found in the building. It appeared to function as a record room. With solemnity and resolve, we execute Scholar Isaac's punishment for his atrocities toward his fellow inhabitants. Before our great war, Isaac was known for his knowledge of medicine, being passionate and devoted to helping others. During better days, he was known for being an invaluable contributor to the construction of the healing houses, which have sadly since been destroyed during these dark days. While in hiding from his fellow inhabitants, Isaac crafted a tree using his own flesh and bone, with the intent that it would provide him food. Though Isaac briefly offered the tree's fruit with good intention, he ultimately used his craft for the maiming of other citizens, and took their limbs and bodies to fuel and grow his abomination. For his crimes against the inhabitants of blank, following orders along with relocation to the underplane have been commissioned for Isaac's punishment. Isaac's remaining forelimb is to be crushed beyond healing limits and severed, so he can never craft again. Isaac's blood is to be injected with charcoal from the grand turf, so that the sins and corruption he ingested from the fruit of his tree are cleansed. Isaac will be branded with the names of each citizen he caused to suffer. These brands, along with his severed limbs, will be transferred to his human shell upon permanent banishment. Isaac's tree has shown surprising resilience to destruction in both crude and spellcasting terms. To combat the possibility of it spreading further, spells were enacted to permanently render all its seeds sterile. It shall then be magicked away to the unplotted lands in the underplane, where it will remain untouched for the centuries to come. Ew! That's gross. Okay. Well, I think that's enough for me today. That was fun, just talking about it with y'all. And I hope that gives you all something to think about. And happy writing! See y'all all next time. Goodbye!